started, I'd like to explain there are a couple of rules. The first is if a pelican should come and sit right alongside of you, or indeed right on top of your head, we ask you not to reach out and touch them, because if you do, they'll think you're giving them a free feed, and the free feed could easily turn out to be the end of your finger. Other than that, they really are incredibly fussy, and they probably won't eat you. They have a chin wag. There they go again. I'm told on very good authority that's what happens at the end of a very long relationship. You sort of lose it a bit. Boing! Boing, boing, off you go. Hurry up.
Share చేసుకోండి.
Each evening, penguin tours are conducted from the pale blue-green building on the other side of the wharf. Some of you think I wear a hat to keep the sun off. Nothing to do with the table manners that's the problem, and you do feel a first-rate idiot with a seagull on your head. And the large black and white birds are adult Pacific gulls, and the adolescent ones are mousy brown and the feather colour. Each evening, penguin tours are conducted from the pale blue-green building on the other side of the wharf. If you get there at 8:15, you've got more time to look at the local aquarium. Some of the fish are fed at 8:30. You'll get to talk about them and the stars before going out on the penguin walk, and the whole thing will take about an hour. There's a second tour at 9:30. If you can, the later tour is a better one because it's darker and you'll tend to see more penguins. Also, if you are from the northern hemisphere, we would encourage you to come down and have a look at the stars, because it will probably be the first time in your lives that you will have ever seen the stars the right way up. Now, the pelicans that we have here are the Australian pelican. They are the largest of the pelican species found in the world. However, we do feel morally obliged to point out to people from America, and Texas in particular, that not only are these pelicans the largest in the world, they're also by far the best looking pelicans in the world as well. They're fairly good flyers. They can get to 2,500 metres on their 2 metre wingspan, and the odd one will make it from Australia to New Zealand. Their normal range extends from southern Indonesia and they'll go as far south as northern Tasmania, and the reason they tend not to go further south is the cold worries them quite a lot. And the reason the cold worries them is they have very little protective oil or grease in their feathers to keep the water out. So if they bob around the ocean a lot, or it comes in cold, wet and rainy, they will eventually get wet through to the skin and start to shiver. They're pretty damp tonight and a bit chilly. However, some of them may not be cold. They might just be really pleased to see you and a little bit excited. The way in which these birds feed, a group of them, acting as a group, will herd fish into shallow water, and once they've got the fish herded into the shallows, they scoop them up with their bills. As you would imagine, the pelican's bill opens and closes like this, but they are unusual in that the lower jaw can open right out to form a large net that they use to scoop the fish up. On the other hand, the American brown pelican, a very ordinary looking bird if I might say so, when they fly across the surface of the water, see a fish deep in the water, they can dive in like a gannet or a tern and catch the fish. If the Australian pelican tries a clever trick like that, they'll make complete fools of themselves, because they are so buoyant they'll simply pop up like a cork. And in fact, the only way these birds can go underwater naturally is when they're assisted by sharks or crocodiles, which is something they try and dodge. The only visual difference between a male and female pelican is one of size, with the male being larger. The fully mature bird has a little bit of yellowy brown on the point of the chest that looks like water stain. It is in fact a feather colour change, because the immature bird is plain white on the point of the chest, and the very young bird is mousy brown in the feather colour. And that one over there is a fairly young bird that's just flapping his wings. Speaking of colours, as you can see, the normal colour for a pelican's bill and jowl is quite pale. However, when both the males and the females are ready to mate, the bill and the jowl will change to a deep pinky purple colour, and they will allow the jowl to hang out under the jaw and they will shimmer it in a mating display. For those of you who are particularly interested in the antics of pelicans, the female pelican does not mate for life, but is generally regarded as being fairly sporting. Now, feed these birds every day of the year, and in order to do it, I buy fish from the local fish processor and run freezers when the fishermen can't get out. The whole exercise is very expensive. It is totally funded out of my pocket, and I go right through the winter when no one turns up, so you can see it today. In order to help cover the $40,000 a year it costs to do, we have a fee of $3 per child and $5 per adult at the end of the feeding. If you have to leave early, feel free to leave it in my boot on the back of the ute, because to walk off without leaving it is regarded as being extremely mean, miserable and shabby, and it makes me, irritable, which is not good. Now we're going to begin by trying to feed some seagulls. If they're hungry, they should take the fish from my hand. There's a fairly good chance the pelicans will regard that as a complete and utter waste of perfectly good fish, and we may see some aerial combat. He's in trouble. If you're exceptionally lucky, that aerial combat could take place over your head. And if you happen to get bombed, that is regarded as a bonus and an optional extra which you don't charge. Most people find that incredibly that one was in trouble. Now we might be able to feed a Pacific gull too if we're in luck. There he is. We'll see if we can get the old fool to take a piece.
Wow.
Whoops, no, silly old fool. There was precision flying till he cracked. Here comes one. That's a better effort. We'll try the silly old billy goat again. Whoops. Now some of you are probably wondering why I wear waders to feed these things. Only a complete idiot would attempt to feed them wearing a kilt. Even on a cold day, it'd be a damn stupid thing to try and do. Sometimes the seagulls can appear quite shy about taking the fish from my hand. And that is because when the pelicans are really hungry, they have been known to eat seagulls live. One very distinguished pelican was seen eating a chihuahua live once, and that justified that particular pelican's place on the face of the earth forevermore, in my opinion. Chihuahuas are dreadful things. They should not be encouraged by anybody. When pelicans eat their food, they do not chew it. They simply swallow everything whole, and you'll just have to accept as gospel that they can swallow a fair amount in one hit. And I'll try and demonstrate with the old fools on the platform, and I am of course referring to the pelicans. The trick here is to get a good handful of fish, throw it into your general direction. Generally speaking, the pelicans will open their traps and catch it. Sometimes they don't, and that simply improves the people behind enormously. But we haven't missed for a couple of days, so I think you can relax. The other thing that might happen is a really happy pelican walking amongst you. If it happens, just no hysterical squealing or indecently throwing your legs up in the air. Just relax, they won't eat you. Can you pick the little fella up, because the wings might belt him as he goes hooning, they might hoon past. And if you're in the front row, just watch out for the crown jewels. I don't think much is going to get past them.
Oh my God.
So there's a happy one. That's a really happy pelican over there. When pelicans breed, they don't make a fancy nest, they just have a shallow scrape for a nest in which they lay up the 4 eggs. The eggs are creamy yellow in colour and rough textured, and they're unusual. The first egg laid will tend to be large. Bills open like a large net. I'll throw the rest of this fish out while I'm talking in case it starts to rain. And you'll see their bills open like a large net. And when they rush forward, their bodies will get a rolling action up, their heads will go under and their bums will come out, and you'll see they just can't go underwater at all. Now if you watch, you can see how their bills are opening right out, and you can also see how completely and utterly hopeless they are at going underwater, and that drives them absolutely nuts. You can also see how wet they're becoming.
The time go deep. Until keep paying attention to this